better all the time and turn it all against one is an art that's hard to teach. Another clever word sets off an unsuspecting hurt, and as you step back in the line, a mob jumps to their feet. Now dance, fucker, dance, man, he never had a chance, and no one even knew it was really only you, and now you steal away. Take him out today. Nice work you did. You're gonna go fuck it. With 1,000 lies and a good disguise, hit 'em right between the eyes, hit 'em right between the eyes. We knew I'd go away, nothing more to say. See the lightning in your eyes, see you running for the light. Strolling out of line and drifting closer in your sight, so play it out, I'm wide awake. It's a scene about me. There's something in your way, and now someone is gonna pay. And if you can't get what you want, well, it's all because of me. Now dance, fucker, dance, man, I never had a chance, and no one even knew it was really only you, and now you lead the way. Show the light of day. Nice work you did. You're gonna go fuck it. With 1,000 lies and a good disguise, hit 'em right between the eyes, hit 'em right between the eyes. We knew I'd go away, nothing more to say. See the lightning in your eyes, see you running for that Now dance, fucker, dance. He never had a chance, and no one even knew it was really only you. So dance, fucker, dance. I never had a chance, it was really only you. With 1,000 lies and a good disguise, hit 'em right between the eyes, hit 'em right between the eyes. We knew I'd go away, nothing more to say. See the lightning in your eyes, see you running a clever alibis, Lord of alibis. Hit 'em right between the eyes, hit 'em right between the eyes. We knew I'd go away, nothing more to say. See the lightning in your eyes, see you running a that life.
I see a Muslim and I want him to go back. No kebab anymore, I want them to go back. I see their girls walk by dressed in hijabi clothes. I have to build a wall and make those shitskin gold. I see a line of spics and they're all going back. Legal and illegal, both never to come back. I see people turn their heads and quickly look away. Like an anchor, baby, it just happens every day. I look at inner cities and see they all are black. I see gangs infesting, they all need to go back. Maybe then America will finally face the fact we can't be great again until they all go back. No more will my red state go turn a deeper blue. I could not foresee this thing happening without Jews. If I look hard enough into the setting sun, I'll see a vision of when the day of the road comes. I see street shitters and I want them to go back. No Hindus anymore, they've all got to go back. I smell their BO from a dozen feet away. I have have to turn my head until my nausea goes.
Hey everybody, my name is Frankie McDonald. You're listening to Plaid Army Internet Radio Podcast.
Warning, the following program contains jokes that may get you contacted by the RCMP. Do not attempt any of these stunts at home. If dark humor mixed with current events hurts your feelings, then go fuck yourself. Viewers' detention is advised.
All right. What did you do? You dirty dog.
We need to be clear-eyed about the seriousness of these incidents. Indeed, several of the individuals at Coots have strong ties to a far-right extreme organization with leaders who are in Ottawa. We're talking about a group that is organized, agile, knowledgeable, and driven by an extremist ideology where might makes right.
Welcome back, everybody, to another Plaid Army stream. It's Sunday, March 23rd. Why is it doing that now? That doesn't make no sense. That should be, I don't even know how to shut it off. Why are we doing this? Stupid fucking StreamYard. Wasn't this the problem last time? Let's see. Oh, there we go. I think that fixed it. Hopefully it did. What's up, everybody? Jen Steen's outside in the cabin, never in the house. Thank you, sir, for an early donation, too, telling me I'm faking gay. Oh, I wish I was faking gay. Be easier. Just take the blue pill, like Cypher, end up back into the Matrix and plugged in, not paying attention to anything. Life would be so much easier. Hey, Misfit, Rotten, Scotian Lady, Doings. What are you doings? You're so late today, Doings. I was fucking so much further ahead than you, putting in the slashies into the chat. There's a bunch of different shit I was going to talk about tonight, but we'll see how it flows on its own, if we get to it or not. I was in a space earlier today that was actually a really good space. I actually actively avoid doing spaces nowadays because they just get out of control, and like you end up opening it up to people that random people come up telling you about their love life and shit, and it gets fucking weird. Like, there is, if you're into it and you've got the time, go ahead and do the spaces. But I thoroughly enjoyed the beginning of it. It was with Curtis Stone and a few of his friends and associates and that, and productive solutions actually being talked about and people that actually do them. And that's another thing in these spaces as well. It's just endless people talking about what we need to do. And that drives me fucking insane. I can only hear so many times of people suggesting what we need to do and hoping that somebody else will do it fucking for them. So Stone, I know, is a doer. Like, he's got a resume as long as my arm, and the proof is in the pudding with him. You could see the stuff that he's accomplished. And my deepest condolences to him and his kids, friends and family there. You guys know Curtis. I had him on the show before. He lost his wife recently. So it was nice to see him in a space. He's getting back out into the public and talking, whatever. And not that grieving is over by any means, but it's nice to see him talking in the spaces, because his voice is definitely valuable. And I haven't offered my advice. I don't know him that well, but I'll offer it to you guys nonetheless. Is that when you lose somebody, it sucks, and the pain does not go away. Never does. And that's the truth. But nobody tells you that. They tell you someday you'll get over it, whatever else. No, you won't. You just learn how to deal with it, and you get stronger. But you can always access that pain anytime you want. Like that. It's like the Hulk, right? It's like how he says, "Oh, that's my secret, Captain. I'm always angry." Sure, you could do that with your loved ones, right? Yeah, you try to find the humor and shit, but no, the pain doesn't go away. You always carry it with you, but you learn how to deal with it. You get stronger. You move on, and that's the truth of it. Nobody likes to say that shit, but that's it. And I'm gonna try to be doing like I love having my fun on the spaces and joking around and stuff like that. But I think I'm actually actively contributing to keeping people on the couch sometimes. I'm gonna be limiting who I talk to in public on spaces and on my show and stuff like that to actual people that are doing stuff, not just talking. Because that honest to fuck, it was driving me nuts. And I'm not trying to dog Curtis's space because it was very productive and a lot of forward thinkers on there discussing. But you get every once in a while someone chimes in that always says, what we have to be doing. And you look at their life and it's like you're not doing any of what you're preaching. None of it. So it's easy for people to do this online, I think. Because you don't really get a background and see what people are actually like. They can portray whoever they want online. And that's a little bit of the difference with what people are willing to put their face out there, right? Is you get a certain trust in between creators a little bit that maybe not be may not be warranted or earned or anything like that, but there is some certain amount of respect that you give to somebody that's willing to put their face out there. Because we know about the problems, and it's fun to joke about the cheats and ha 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 whatever else, but it's a real fucking problem that needs to be addressed that nobody's doing, and nobody is talking about the ways to do it other than we need to get into politics, we need to get into office, we need to build. You're not doing it by getting into office. It's the system is rigged, and even the PPC won't be able to get a seat unless they balkanize their constituency. So my goals and objectives, no matter what they've threatened us with tariffs and annexation and bankruptcy and all that shit, they haven't changed at all. Right? And I still think that no matter what flag we fly over our head, that my path forward is still to be doing what I'm doing. Like finish building my off-grid cabin. But yeah, it's livable, but I mean, there's a lot of shit I got to do in the summertime. Self-sufficiency is in water and rain collection and growing plants and staging areas and having the room to do it, bigger livestock. Learning how to put the property into a trust and a corporation for these type of environments and communities. I was listening to Curtis explain it earlier today, and it's funny, I've been tiptoeing around this shit forever, and it's never become more apparent to me that I should have been paying more attention to it. Is the more autonomy and private members associations, putting your land into a corporation and into a trust that the government can't touch. Yeah, there's always the argument that they can always do whatever they want and blah, blah, blah. But in the meantime, you might as well be living on a property like that. If your plan is to get some sort of autonomy or your own zone or some sort of political power, you still need a home base and somewhere safe to do that in a safe community. there was talk earlier in that space as well. Sorry I'm going on about this space, but it was a lot of topics were covered. It was getting into municipal politics and in cabinet positions and on boards and shit like that, because a lot of these municipals, they are corporations. That's the way they're set up. That's why they have boards. Learning more about that, I think, is instrumental in moving forward, even under the threat of annexation. Because I'm done with the flag. We've all been done with this idea of the fucking flag, and I think people's consciousness needs to evolve around what and who you are, in a sense that no, you're not part of a corporate fiction flag of what they say you're under. It's deeper than that, and it's your blood, it's your people, it's your heritage. And you need to hang on to that more than what you do your flag. Like South Africa, man, they've been a people for how long? I've only been talking about that stuff, or South Africa, because I've been looking into it since I talked to Nico Johannes. But they've been ruled under many different flags, right? They're still coming up with new ones. When the Dutch settled and the English took over, it's still same people, different flags, right? That's what's most important. And that's where the Sikhs are winning, or the Hindus or whoever, because they're more concerned about their culture, right? And keeping their heritage. They only hire each other. Jen Steen says, good to see you. Love you, faggot. Yeah. Lost my train of thought sort of there. Oh, I'll have a drink. But we all say we know the problems, or people like to keep reiterating the problems and what we need to do, but until you see action in it. And what does action look like? Action is balkanizing. And everybody wants to say, oh, we're going to balkanize in my area. Why doesn't everybody come to me? I have the best spot. That's laziness. I understand people wanted to hang out to their roots and where they are and everything like that, but that's not going to save you. I've already been displaced, so maybe it's easier for me to see. But like Thor and any Asgardian would say, that our Asgard is a people, not a place. And the people that have become culturally known as Canadian, or the people that we say are Canadian, our group of people, need to balkanize. And if you do balkanize, and you have to, let's say you take up the entire township of unorganized land, every bit of it, buy it all up, develop it all, put it all in. You can register as a town, or you keep it unincorporated. Hell, you could. There is talk about how you could fucking form a nation in that. But if you own all the land, you do essentially have say over who can be there and own property. Yeah. And it's funny that I'll touch on this quickly, I guess, but what I'm learning about with your trust and assigning away your rights with your birth certificate and registering to vote and stuff like that, starting to make more sense why they're bringing in so many people from other countries, because that also gives them borrowing power. Like Mark Carney, he can't wait to get into office and manage the trusts of all the people that have signed it over to him. When you register to vote, you give them consent over your trust, giving them access to your trust at the Bank of Canada for them to leverage to buying power or borrowing power. One of my goals is to unregister to vote. I don't want to vote. I want to take my name off the registry completely. And I am going to go through the process of actually getting my own autonomy and sovereignty, because the provinces here were more sovereign than what actual Canada is. Oh, I'm just kind of rambling now. Mr. Bullock says, the only constant is change. Embrace the suck. Infinite respect. Cheers. Mr. Bullock says, drawing a dag flag. Yeah, the dag flag. People have more in common with that than what they do with the fucking fake Maple Leaf flag. That corporate logo. The Jolly Roger. But people do this in Canada that we don't know about it. We complain about it, but other people do take advantage of this by having their own courts, their own judges. There's already a Sikh court, there's a Jewish court, there's a Muslim court, right? We're the only ones that try to go under this Canadian court, but you can have your own courts in your own society with your own people. Yes, I know the government can end up taking it from you and walking over you, but you can balkanize in an area, build up your forces, and then look outward as well. Yeah, you could hold big at court. But when I do figure it out, and I do unregister to vote and take control of my trust and stuff like that, I won't be talking about it. I'll be shutting the fuck up about all of that. Because that's how you get fucking it. And that's the truth. So that's when you do it privately, and you do it for your friends, and you do it for the people that have committed the same lifestyle as that you have. You know, they've fucking uprooted their lives to move to something better. They were saying it in the space today as well, is that the people over in Northern California have more in common than people in Southern BC than what they do with the fucking Newfoundlander. But yet this arbitrary line is what's supposed to bind us together. I definitely say, like throughout Northern Ontario, and that it is what you see on those old flags, the red ensign. You know, even Brampton, where I used to live, when I first started in the HVAC trade, I would go into all these houses changing out water tanks and stuff like that, and you'd see all the World War II memorabilia, and that really built up their life, man. They were so proud of that. And it was a huge thing that happened in their life, but I'd always make extra time to be able to sit there and talk to them. It's because they had the coolest stories. Yeah. A veteran is running against Carney and see, it doesn't matter. That's the type of stuff I don't want to bother fucking talking about anymore, because it's a waste of time. There's always some new faggot entertaining the public that people have an emotional connection because they like their fucking eyes or their smile, but they're just going to listen to everything they talk about, not even knowing or thinking that this person has no idea what they're talking about. And case in point is Mr. Sunshine Baby. He admittedly says he knows absolutely nothing about politics, but he's grown a gigantic channel that people look to him for political content, and they have no idea what the fuck they're talking about. As the blind leading the blind. It's fucking horrific to watch. I have one loaded up that I was going to pick on. This twat. He had me blocked on Twitter, and I didn't even know. This guy's Frank Dominic. And this is an actual Canadian. This is like, I know we keep calling ourselves, we're the true Canadians. Blah, blah, blah. Nope, we're different. We're something new that the Canadian has evolved into. We've evolved from the Canadian. We're something else. Because this is the typical Canadian.
Keep saying it keeps getting more and more true. Pierre Poilievre is cooked. The new Liberal ad is insane. It features Mark Carney talking to Mike Myers and giving Mike Myers a Canadian test. Because Mike Myers lives in the States and Carney wants him to prove that he's Canadian. And they run through a whole bunch of questions. It's a pretty low-key funny ad. Some call and response type things. This one is going to get a lot of chuckles. And then Mike Myers asks if Canada will always exist. And they end it with elbows up, and Mike Myers shows off his jersey, which says never and 51 on the back. This ad is going to resonate crazy good. This is arguably one of the most Canadian ads I have seen since Joe from Canada said I am Canadian. So as I keep saying, here is cooked.
It feels weird. It's like making fun of the guys that would watch wrestling, but at least wrestling, you know, you had conflict and resolution all in the same thing. That's what made you feel good about watching it. That guy fully believes in the electoral system and the fucking oh, Carney and Mike Myers is the best ad, the most Canadian ad since Joe. The entire time talking about corporate bullshit. Mike Myers and Mark Carney haven't been Canadian or lived in Canada for 20 fucking years. But they come here and name off some corporate slogans, whatever else, and that's just, oh my God, that's so Canadian. So I do understand people mixing up the two of patriotism and heritage. You want to preserve your heritage through a nation state that's protected. Canada is no longer that anymore. You need something new. You do have to adapt and move on. There is another type of Canadian, though. This type.
Where did all the freedom fighters go?
Ooh, that is a pickle, my friend. Let's see if we can figure it out together. You endorsed a government that froze their bank accounts and destroyed their livelihoods and destroyed their futures because you were upset that they were fighting for your rights and freedoms. And now, 5 years later, our sovereignty is at risk because that same government that overstepped made a bunch of really bad decisions. I'm trying not to swear, right? But our sovereignty is now at risk because of our inept government that has made a series of choices over the years and the people that continue to support them in spite of those really bad choices, right? And now you want to know where the Freedom Convoy is to help you defend Canada. You told them to beat it. You endorsed the government that helped you do it. And now you want them to defend you? Good luck with that, pal. Right? Like, where were you guys 5 years ago when generational businesses were going out of business? Support Canada, buy Canada. You're all posers now. You got what you voted for.
Not bad. But still fighting in the political spectrum that we have no fucking choice over. Like, I have no stake in this election coming up. I'm not even sure if you have to register to vote federally, municipal, and provincially. Do you? Is it a different registry? Because I'm not sure if I'm registered federally. I know I am provincially because I voted for Doug Ford. That was the first time I ever voted. My God, do I wish I could take that back. Yeah. But I want to look more into that, the register to vote. And by voting, you give jurisdiction over your trust to be lended out to or used as collateral to borrow money in your name. I want to learn more about that while stepping away from the system. And like I say, everybody keeps talking about it, but there's very few people that actually do it. A lot of people seem to do that on the internet, and it's driving me nuts. Like, I want to be around doers, not talkers. Like, Raj and Trad, those are doers. They've been doing it forever and living the life. And honestly, they've been doing it so well that they offered up for other people to come and live with them so they can live the life. And that's the way it's supposed to be done. And we're trying to do that up here as well. But a lot of people only want to come after everything's done, right? Build it and they will come. But I still think out of everybody's path that my path is the best way forward. I like the idea of building active clubs and such like that. But to go nationally is fucking tough. The Canadian Army can't even defend the entire nation at the same time. We can't deploy a defense any which way. Even if the fucking NYPD decided to invade us, we couldn't do anything about it. We couldn't muster enough troops to fucking go against it. So trying to do that all the way across the country is tough. It's nice to stay in touch with these other groups and learn from each other and everything, but to try and manage everything from a central location is only easier when somebody's right outside your door, right across the street. That's how things get done. That's how things work. It's easier to work that way when you're always in the face. That's why they used to make people go to a fucking office. Seeing people face to face gets a fire under your ass, and you can't be distracted because the other person's watching you and whatever else, and you end up getting more done. It's true. That's why living around each other is imperative. Balkanizing in an area also takes care of that. Power in numbers. But you do have to be somewhat self-sufficient, right? To be able to come out here. You can't come out and look to fucking just milk off other people. You have to bring something to the table. That's what I'm finding with the majority of the people online. They're all talkers. There's too many talkers, not enough doers. Dubs is another doer. Yeah, seeing him build his cabin fucking pushed me that a little harder to do mine. It was always my plan since I was hanging out with Goody before he took his life. Hell, it was his trailer that I came up here to live in at first. And that's also what it has to do with is preparation meets opportunity. And most people don't see the point of preparing because they don't have an opportunity. But when the opportunity comes and you're not prepared, you're not able to do it. Right? Big J says, hey, Derek, would you be down for people to come up and help with your work a few days in the summer? I always love people coming to help me work. Depending on what you're doing, like some people come up and they expect all your facilities to be theirs and fucking run all over your shit and make it worse. You know, then there's others that come with stuff that actually make it seem worthwhile. You know, but I'm always open to people coming that are willing to work. Jenstein, Jesus Christ. That's a crazy donation. So he likes to say, fuck you, Derek. Well, for that price, you can. Mr. Bullock, luck? No, not just luck. Luck is being prepared for your opportunity, and that has nothing to do with luck. People just think you're lucky because you see an opportunity coming by. No, you have to be prepared for it first, whether that be financially or you're ready to move. You've already been looking at jobs. Like people that talk about homesteading and stuff, how many of you have actually gone out to look at properties and stuff like that? Because that's not an easy task either. That takes resources too, doesn't it? It takes resources to be able to move somewhere or to be able to look. Sorry. Me and Leland did this for an entire summer. We were driving around looking at different unorganized properties and stuff like that, and it was brutal trying to find the right stuff. A lot of them were landlocked, so you'd have to find your way in, and cool properties and all, but yeah. Yeah, living in the bush is cheap, but it's harder to make money, and that's what you find in these northern towns. A lot of them are people work for the province or the municipality because there's no real industry up here, right? You kind of have to create that industry, but a lot of people these days do work online, right? They only have to report in 2-3 times a year or something like that, so you can work remote. Justice for Fathers says uprising. Well, I wouldn't bother uprising against the system. It doesn't work. They'll smash you down. You can't get enough numbers here in such a giant country across Canada to show up in those kind of numbers that you see in the States or in Germany or France. France not a protest. Boomers need to stop selling farmland, or you could start buying it from them. I know people selling businesses just south of me that are trying to sell to good white European folks. They don't want to sell it to the Jeets, even though the Jeets keep offering them money. You know, there are those people out there, but you won't find them unless you go out and start riffing with people and talking with them. You know, you got to miss the riff. Riffing with the store clerk because they speak English, or the person at the grocery store, or Tim Hortons before it turned to shite. The riff was awesome. Awesome. That's how you found out about the town. Now, the people you're going to buy off don't know anything about your town. Oh, buddy, I only know double double. That's it. Oh, can you tell me about the fishing derby coming up? Jesus Christ. Wouldn't you much rather live in a place that was just all your people? And you can riff with those? They know the gossip of the street. You don't have to go to some stupid forum on fucking Facebook where the people that stay at home all day are fucking gossiping about what's going on. Godzilla Unchained says, of all the people to select from, Mark Carney hires my neighbors, Southern California resident, Canadian expert Mike Myers to shill for the City of London regards PM candidate. Clown world is real. It is. It's retarded. And nobody's given it a big enough podium or platform to talk about it. But there are ways to build your own podium to get that social capital, I guess they call. Like Jeremy does have that social capital now. People know who he is. And when he makes a serious video, people sit down and listen. It got a ton of views that last time he addressed being the Diagolon, right? But it was a different flavor. The podcast isn't for everybody. Honestly, I couldn't do a podcast for 3 hours because the majority of people that are going to be listening to your podcast are throwing it up as background. There are always the different people that watch live and have the super chats and stuff like that. But a lot of the people on Spotify and shit like that, they're just putting you up as background and you're not getting through to them. Because we look for those channels ourselves. We look for an hour-long podcast when I'm going out there fucking doing the work and shit like that, right? We do. I'm guilty of it myself. I don't always sit and watch Jeremy's podcast. I've known the guy for 6 fucking years. I've heard his voice more than anybody else's in the fucking world. But again, if I'm doing work, I'll put on one of his. But it's in the background and I'm concentrating on something else. But when Jeremy sits down and doesn't straight talk, or like when Ferry, they used to grab the clips of Ferry and stuff like that, those ones went further. You know? I don't know. Sometimes you have to remarket what you're doing. I see. This here is not going out to the masses. You know what I mean? This stays within a small select group. It's our group basically that I talk to. I'm not looking at anybody new. So when I am talking to people, it is, within our own community. Not really looking at getting bigger. It's too hard of a game. There's other people with financial backing like fucking Pat Singh. You'll be able to get that professional quality. There's a couple that have come out now, like the Blender Report. They do pretty good work. They cover a lot of stuff, but the high quality comes from somewhere. There's money behind it somewhere. Man of the Mountain says, I don't have Jensine deep pockets, but it's good to see you, brother. Yeah, it's good to see everybody too. Pulling away from the internet is something that everybody needs to do, though. Yeah. See, I want nothing to do with the elections. I want my own autonomy away from that shit. People can do it better in private members associations, but you have to be committed as well. You know, people want to just talk about it and not actually sacrifice to do these things because it does involve sacrifice. You are going to have to sacrifice certain things, especially those that are hanging on to like a certain area where it's being gentrified around you. It's becoming a fucking jeet hive. Get out of there. Go to a smaller town where you can wield more influence, get into politics, and actually fight this off. At least then, if you get into a board or a mayor position, you have a podium and people will listen. You know, you may go under attacks and stuff like that, but like up here in the town next to me there, Cochrane, they're uh they're ran by like two main families, the Geniers and the Papineaus, and their roots go deep, right? Deep pockets. And it's a lot like that all the way across the country. You know, the different people that got into the logging rights and the mineral rights and all that. But I'm not going to be one of the ones that say they're just talking, right? I'm actually going forward with this. And I'm going to take Curtis's course. I think the closest one is in August. But it's $3,000 and I think it's worth it. Financial literacy is something a lot of us lack in. Because if you figure out debt, then you figure out finance and you can figure maybe that's just me. I'm sure a lot of you are a lot more illiterate with finances than I am, but wouldn't it be nice to get out of the housing market though and not have to worry about the inflated prices and the boom? Like I don't care what my house is worth. I don't mind keeping track of how much I've put into it and stuff like that, but I'm not selling this and I never will. This house is priceless to me because I'm building a home. But I'm not in the market. It's not something I have to worry about. Crap, like the price of houses crash, it's not going to affect me. I don't care. I'm still living in the same house. I don't have a mortgage on it. I want to put tariffs on fucking poultry and dairy. Well, produce my own milk and eggs. It's not that big a deal. And you can grow a lot more. Yeah, it'd be a lot harder, but that's where you need the other people around you as well. You do have to work into groups, especially if you want to survive a winter up here where you have to grow enough stuff to have a surplus to last you all the way through the winter. It's a long haul. What's that? Bearded Nomad? You can join a PMA right now. They've even secured land with a large building, but I'm not sure about some of the people involved. You know, and that's a giant obstacle for people as well, right? Um, you don't want to get entangled with anybody that's going to drive you nuts. You do need your own space, and it has to be treated like your own space because you can work and be a part of a PMA with a lot of people if that's the only interaction you have with them. A lot of people could be amicable because your goals are autonomy, right? It's when you try starting to mix with everybody and everybody gets their own ideas and everybody wants to do it their own way, things get fucked. People want to take the reins of something and there's somebody else that could have done it cheaper, more efficient, and fucking safer, you know? It's one thing that's frustrating with that. I might be going on a tangent, but people running with the Diagolon thing, like running away with it and using it as their own brand to get clout, and then trying to run to the finish line, show everybody, oh hey, look, I knew this first. I knew all about it. When you're just becoming a beacon of light to fucking get struck, and nobody is learning from the people that actually built Diagolon how they've been a lightning rod for this entire time, what to avoid, because we've already been through it before. You know, but people want to run to the end of the finish line without doing any of the preparation work. Say, look, I knew what was going on. The front runners, right? People that want everybody to listen to them and follow them despite them actually having a plan. And I'm just going fucking rambling now, I suppose. Madam Breezy, treats for Ozzy because he's such a good boy. Yeah, he's chilling over there. He always gets mixed up on where he wants to sit and how he wants to sit. If he wants to be warm by the fire or drag his bed over here to sit by dad or sit in the chair. So I just throw his bed on the chair and he runs up and sits there. Or move his bed in front of the fire. Yeah, it's on both sides of the spectrum of that fucking Frank Dominic guy, the pleb, Sunshine Baby, even the Blender Report. They're all talking about the things that you think you're supposed to be paying attention to. But none of them are actually talking about the actual issues, right? You're not going to be able to infiltrate politics. Your politics have already been infiltrated. Okay, there are people that are taking resources from your country, with supposedly your sovereign land, and using them, your sovereign land, and using them against you. There is a Sikh colony in Brampton, and they're establishing trade routes, right? Not for the benefit of Canadians, not for the benefit of the Anglo-Saxon or the European, for the benefit of themselves. They're stealing from you. But are they? When you actually start to look at what Canada actually is and how we're being treated as economic units, I don't want to be an economic unit anymore. I want to turn in my birth certificate, unregistered to vote, all of that. And just private members associations. Yeah, I'm not so much concerned about what anybody has to say anymore about who's going to get the biggest dig on which politician and own them and who's going to get into office and whatever else. Once they're in office, they have to obey by the fucking party rules anyway, don't they? So they're not coming to help you. Whether I was going to get involved in politics or not, like I say, my objectives and goals have always been the same. So I could still do my goals and objectives without having to deal with any of that bullshit. Once I know more about the stream, a stream about private member associations, yeah, there are ones out there. Maybe they're boring for people to watch and stuff like that, but that is the right way forward. There could be an awakening towards this stuff, but it's not going to be the Frank Dominics and Sunshine Babies and stuff like that that want to continue their time in the political sphere. It's not going anywhere. Like I say, I would be very proud to unregister to vote. And I'm not kidding. Because just by registering to vote, and think about that as well. If they get a certain chunk of money that they do have as your trust that they can now leverage to borrow money, they have no incentive to pay it back. They're borrowing in our name. I want that power back. I don't want them to have that. And that's probably why they're importing so many people. It's in their better interest to import so many economic units into this country, so that gives them more borrowing power for when everything crashes. And that's how they look at it. And we can't compete, can we? We can't compete with the Jeet. Because the Jeets still live by their caste system and they import their own people and put them in indentured servitude. So we can't compete with how they treat their slaves. We are kind of fortunate in a way that we are living in a society that could allow us to do that. But you need to educate yourself on, and I hate people saying that fucking term, you need to enlighten yourself to how Canada actually does work. And it is kind of like how the reserves work, or the Hutterites. They know how this shit works. We don't. I would even venture to say that there's Chinese out there that know this system better than we do, and they know how to scam it. Saying balkanization is the last life raft, it's the only life raft. You're not going to be able to compete with these. Like, are you going to win a seat in Brampton? Like, they've already colonized us, and they've already infiltrated our institutions and using it against us. We've been colonized. It's battleground Canada, really. Well, it doesn't have to be a life raft, does it, guys? It doesn't have to be a life raft. You can turn it into a flourishing city. Like, people go places and colonize and turn it into something. It's been happening all through time. It's just people have to wonder what they take more seriously, right? Are you going to take it more? What are you more attracted to? The trinkets that society can give you, or growing up in a loving family with heritage? Because you still have access to all the same knowledge they do. It might be a little harder to earn a buck or something like that. The Amish do it, don't they? Yeah, a lot of people talk about Orania. A lot of South Africans talk badly about it, right? But you need a space where your kids can walk freely, enjoy themselves, and not worry about the pressures of fucking other cultures dominating the space and being all around them. You want them to grow up fucking without those pressures. That's the only way white people flourish, isn't it? That's We know this as well. We know this with children as well, right? Children that grows up in an environment that's always constantly yelling, they're always on their defensive, and they never get to sit down and enjoy something and let it sink in, or be able to have the quiet and calm to be able to explore through your thoughts. You need those spaces. I wish we could just go out into fucking CBC or a national broadcasting system that everybody sees and just ask the question. Like a series of fucking multiple choice questions where it's just like, what would you rather do? Would you rather live with Jeets or horse and buggy? And everybody like, I'd rather go with horse and buggies than have Jeets. Okay, so why are we putting up with them in our fucking regular society? Oh, I wish we could have an actual national conversation instead of these fucking swamp donkeys and fat sows that they set in front of us as a panel on the CBC. Here's Rosie Barton and fucking Barb McGillicuddy, whatever the fuck her name is. She's listed off 300 hate groups in Canada. Meanwhile, CSIS has acknowledged 4,000 organized crime units, all foreign. But it's more important to talk about 300 hate groups. The 300 hate groups might have a problem with one of the organized crime units, and we can't have that. Yeah. I'd rather have a teacher from a community that is balkanized from people like minded, and you've just chosen who your teacher is going to be. You know? That's the teacher in the community. One that everybody trusted. And same with the person that speaks on behalf of the community, that person is voted in as well. Big Barbara Perry. Big Barb. And that's how towns used to be, right? Especially in America, where you'd vote in your sheriff because you knew the guy. You know, the principal of the high school went to school with that guy as well. And it's not fair. And I hate saying that, but it's true. It's not fair that what our ancestors put away into our social contracts that other people are getting taken advantage are being able to take advantage of. Now, here's one of them that I saw on Instagram. For black farmers, because they have it so much harder than we do.
There's not a lot of black farmers in Canada.
0.2%.
He is 100% committed to not just farming, but providing affordable, culturally preferred food.
So this is?
Cassava.
For Canada's black, African, and Caribbean communities.
90% of the food that most Africans eat here in Canada still come from our country of origin. We are creating a new agricultural economy in Canada.
He started pre-pandemic.
It's pepper with our heirloom tomatoes.
But now with food insecurity concerns on the rise,
it's mind-boggling.
The founder of the Canadian Black Farmers Association is expanding.
This is our new commercial greenhouse.
Erecting a new greenhouse at his farm. The dirty little secret behind his operation, the soil.
So essentially you have created the soil that you find in Nigeria here in Mission.
Yeah, in Mission. That's the magic.
Magic, of course, includes manure, goat manure, and Tioyan has lots in supply.
The manure, very, very good for what we are doing.
The proof is in the kitchen. He's making hay out of his surroundings, educating and offering hands-on training for others on how to get their start in the agricultural industry in Canada.
Seeing is believing. If I can sacrifice whatever I can to be able to show the people that this is viable.
He's a harvesting hero for BC's black community. He's also started an African foods food bank in Surrey. Tioyan is a shining example of self-sufficiency during these uncertain times.
Let's grow this. Let's work together. Black food alone can bring so much economy to Canada. And the Canadian black people, African, Caribbean, they can have a very powerful, sustainable economy. And it will benefit everybody.
In Mission, Jason Pires, Global News.
What they're not telling you about the Black Farmers Association, so I don't know if you heard me there. What they're not telling you about the Black Farmers Association is that we're subsidizing it. And we're incentivizing black farmers by giving them grants. Why? Because they're black. It's the subtle bigotry of low expectations is what it is. They don't believe that you can do it yourself, so we have to give them money to say, hey, yes, you can do it so long as you have all of our money. Well, that's not fair. You got white privilege. You have a bunch of money. Well, let's look into some Canadian heritage moments, shall we? Let's learn about fucking this jigaboo that lived in the War of 1812. Canadian heritage. I love how they start these stories out like, I was captured when I was 16 years old. By who? Who were you captured by? There was no white Europeans with fucking shitty livers that aren't out in the sun chasing through the jungle grabbing black people. They were buying them though. They could buy them, that's for sure. But you weren't captured by us. You were captured by other blacks and then sold to people kind of like us. Primarily Jews. That's another story. You say there's no audio? You guys can't hear that? Son of a cunt. Headphones for a bit. I forgot that. I thought you guys could hear it.
I was bought by a British officer from New England. He gave me his family name, Pierpoint, and baptized me Richard. Since 1760, my name has been Richard Pierpoint. This is my story. 20 years passed, and I performed my duty as a servant and valet, and in return, my master performed his duty to clothe and shelter me. I thank Providence for my lot in life. But one day, Providence visited me with a new and unforeseen salvation. It came in the guise of war. When the American colonists rose up against the crown and made war in 1775, men were forced to choose between two sides, the rebels and the loyalists. The rebels supported separation from the British Empire, while the loyalists stood faithful to the crown. The king promised land and freedom for those who fought for him. By the grace of God and the king, I chose freedom. And so I fell in with Lieutenant Colonel John Butler's Rangers, based in Fort Niagara. In time, several hundred of black volunteers joined the Rangers. And so, I became a soldier. Lived a soldier's life. Caught up in a bloody war. The war didn't end well for the crown and the 13 colonies, but it did manage to preserve Canada north of the lakes. And in 1784, I was a free man. God be praised. No more orders or commanding officer ordering me about. I could go just wherever and whenever I wanted, save for the United States, where slavery prevailed. I was given 200 acres in Upper Canada. Working the land was hard. I had to.
So, not only was he never a fucking slave inside Canada, Canada granted him his freedom. Sorry, the British Crown. He was also given 200 acres. Sounds like generational wealth to me.
Transform a thick forest into farmland. Build a house, a fence, all by myself. All around me did the same. It is hard to build a country. Finally, I sold my 200 acres and I worked for my neighbors, white farmers. People call me Black Dick or Captain Dick. They say a creek still carries my name, Dick's Creek, a tributary of 12 Mile Creek near St. Catharines. In 1812, the Americans attacked Canada, and the clarion call of war was heard from one end of the colony to the other. If the Yankees were to win, I would surely return to slavery. I had my fill of the horrors of war, but there comes a time when a man has to take up arms and fight for his freedom and dignity. So I sent a petition to King's Governor, Major General Sir Isaac Brock, requesting permission to form an all-Negro Army Corps.
What?
To resist the invader and fight shoulder to shoulder.
With other Negroes?
The general accepted, and the Colored Corps was born. We were about 30 men, which is quite a lot if you consider there were only 100 free black men in all Upper Canada. Although the Colored Corps was my idea, and despite my experience, I wasn't given command. Our officers are white. Nevertheless, we all fought together to repel the enemy. And in the battlefield, we fought like men. And it wasn't black blood or white blood that flowed. No, everybody's blood is red. It's the only color that ran through our fields and in our rivers.
What a weird fucking contrast that he had there. Despite all of my experience and all of my accolades, they made my officer white. Dun dun dun, sad music. But when we went to fight, it was shoulder to shoulder. Yay, multiculturalism! So he's trying to get the best of both worlds. Anyways.
Major General Isaac Brock died in one of our bloodiest battles at Queenston Heights. He now joins the ranks of immortal heroes. The Colored Corps fought with courage, discipline, and composure. And in 1813, we were given a dangerous task. We had to build Fort Mississauga, just in front of Fort Niagara, on the other side of the river. With this fort, the Americans were prevented to use Lake Ontario to bring supplies to Fort Niagara. This was a dangerous task, and often we had to work nights to avoid being fired on. But we succeeded, and Fort Mississauga stood proudly with its stone and brick tower, surrounded by its walls, a 6-foot moat, and 4 large cannons. Peace was restored in 1815, and Canada wasn't occupied by the Americans. That spring, the Colored Corps was disbanded. And the government gave us 100 acres in Oro.
Another 100 acres.
But I was tired. I've seen too much of war. Although freed from the bonds of slavery, I knew the lot of every son of Adam who tills the soil all his days, for himself or for another man. I long to see my native land once again. I appealed to Governor Maitland for passage back to Africa.
He didn't want to be here.
He refused. And he gave me 100 acres in Garifraxa, near the town that's now called Fergus. And so it is here, half exiled in this land that gave me back my freedom, that I will pass my dying days. But all is grace. I am proud of this country. I'm proud to have carried the glorious banner of free men. This country is built on freedom and the rejection of servitude. All is grace. I serve the King's grace and our beautiful country, Canada.
Now, what did you guys learn from that? What did you guys pick up from that? Okay, he fought for the crown. He got himself 200 acres to start, right? He had 200 acres, and he was granted his freedom. He ended up having to sell those 200 acres and go into work for the neighboring white farmer because he couldn't sustain the property, obviously. Couldn't grow shit. So, when the time came up for him to fight in the war again, he enlisted. Through that, got himself another 100 acres. Where did that 100 acres go before he applied to go back to Africa? They rejected him, gave him another 100 acres. 400 fucking acres. And for some reason today, we are subsidizing the Black Association of Farmers because they've been not well to do as the rest of us. Does that make any sense? Like, shouldn't white farmers today be given that opportunity because of what their ancestors did for the country? I don't see any difference there for any of those people that could be considered native to the land that are black. Why did they get any advantages? It's a subtle bigotry of low expectations. 400 acres. God damn it. Couldn't sustain it. Yet we're going to subsidize it, aren't we? I don't know how we got off onto that, but I saw that today. And I wanted to bring it up. The didn't do nothing farm. It didn't do nothing. That's why he fucking had to sell his farm. Couldn't make his property work for him. 400 acres. I saw this video when I was flipping through videos, and I think this is what Greg Wycliffe would look like if he wasn't working out and he had some kids. I don't know, something about this guy's face, like it's a chubbier Greg Wycliffe. Wrong? I don't know. I thought it looked like a chubbier Greg. So I see Maxime Bernier, and I don't like talking about this shit, but he was doing the rounds too little too late. These are the rounds he should have been doing when he ran in 2019. He would have had more of a chance, but he didn't. And now he's trying this part of the game where he goes and talks to people like Patrick Bet-David and Alex Jones. And what's funny is I actually got Maxime his first interview on a right-wing sort of podcast in the States. If you remember, during the convoy, I got Max onto Red Ice. And then when Jeremy was running with Max, or not running with him, but helping him, he was at his thing in, I don't know if that was Saskatchewan, Edmonton, where exactly it was. We brought Max onto the show and he did a shot with me. But honestly, Max has kind of shit the bed here, not only with a lot of the public support, because he divvies off a lot of his support. He is still an elitist. Like, he has talked to a lot more fucking people, I would say, than the other average politicians, but he's still an elitist. He has someone like Martin Massey run his fucking Twitter account, and so he's disconnected from the people. And you can always tell when somebody just has some sort of fucking social media liaison that fucking does all their shit for them. And yeah, if you want to be a real person, you have to be connected to your own Twitter in this day and age. But Max was on Patrick Bet David talking about what it means to be a Canadian. And if you ask me, he shit the bed. It was only when pressed by Patrick that he started to actually talk about being a Francophone and what it means to be that. So if you can apply that to the rest of Canada, it would actually make sense. But I think Max can only apply that to his own experience. Anyways, have a listen.
What is it to be an American? I'm proud to be an American, or at least I know I'm free, right?
Yeah.
And then you can sell America, right? Yeah. What does it mean to be a Canadian?
We are not American.
What does that mean, though? But not. What are you guys? What is Canadian?
That's what maybe Canadians, we are not American, we are Canadians. So, okay, if we are not American, we are, more for social programs. We care a little bit more about people. We have a socialist policies in Canada. So we have, the way that the federal government or politicians are speaking about Canadian identity, they're speaking about the legislation. It's, we have, our health care system is good. It's not like the US. It's not a private healthcare system. Everybody, has a protection, but it's not going well. Here you have, privatization at least 100%. In Canada, it's socialism there. So they are describing us based on social program. The reality is we are different because this country, Canada, is different. We have different culture. The culture in Quebec, in my own province, is very different than the culture in Alberta. The culture in Alberta is very different than the culture in PI. That's a country that we are the only country like that.
What is it to be a Canadian? I still don't know what it is to be a Canadian. What is it to be a Canadian?
What it is to be a Canadian, we, like you, we believe in freedom. We believe in less government and more autonomy. We believe that if you're a Canadian, you have the opportunity to grow and to do what you want in life. And now it's not the case anymore. We have the big fat government that is taxing us and regulating us all the time. So to be a Canadian is to be a free man, that we can do what we want. But right now it's not the case anymore. And with mass immigration, we need to know our history. And the majority of Canadians don't know the history of our country. These new immigrants, they're telling me that, I'm an immigrant also. No, my roots are, coming from at least 300 years. I'm a settler. We came in coming from France and in Quebec, and same thing for people coming from Europe, in Canada. We need to speak about our country. We are not, but we have different cultures. And that's, the Francophone part of Canada is the only place in North America that you have a Francophone government, majority of Francophone, try to speak French and be prosperous. So
you started to go there, right? And it makes sense because your nation is directly tied to your blood, or it should be. Otherwise, what's the point of having a nation? Because you can't address what it means to be a Canadian without addressing the blood issue. When I say blood, your family, your heritage, where you come from. And a lot of that is intertwined with a lot of Americans as well. A lot of our blood is the same. So I understand what people say. Like, people were given, and I asked Big Time about this too, Lord Big Time. He can't wait to become an American. Right? But a lot of his family ties and roots and blood and everything go back there. Right? Like most of his family is an American. So a lot of us are intertwined. Now, it's another thing that was brought up in that space today was opening up free trade, right? Now, normally, I would. It depends on the circumstances if you want to open up free trade, because free trade is also free movement of people. There's no difference. If you want to protect your people, then you do need a certain amount of protectionism in your government. So I can understand to a certain extent why Canada would want to be able to produce its own milk and have security over that. Produce its own oil. Why don't we have protectionism over oil? Right? How come Canada doesn't have oil cartels the same as we do with poultry and dairy? Because if you did care about your family, like if I would have the same instincts as those people that put those into effect, right? Like if we built our own private members association here with our own town, our own people, and we balkanize, and part of that is that we produce our own milk and eggs, right? I would want to tariff anybody that comes to sell them at our grocery store. I don't want them selling their eggs and poultry because that keeps some of my people employed. And if there is ever a fallout within the borders around us, we still produce our own shit. So I get protectionism, you know? So like Canada has protectionism on some things where they shouldn't on others, and like free trade is what opened us up to being fucked up by America. There's that video going around with Brian Mulroney talking to I forget the guy. I forget who it was. About opening up for free trade, right? You do want your country supplying itself with own things so it can be self-sufficient. It's like a homestead. You want it to be able to run within itself. Yes, it's nice to order things from Amazon or China or wherever the fuck you want to get them from, but you want to be able to build your own shit. You know, that's why a nation should be able to produce its own pharmaceuticals, its own food, its own weaponry, its own oil. Like there's certain things you should be able to produce on your own. Period. Oil especially. And even if that means taking a certain amount of our oil that's fucking refined and processed and putting it back into the economy so we could have cheap greenhouses and farmers and stuff like that and grow our own fucking food in the wintertime. So we don't have to rely on getting 75% of our produce from America in the winter or from even further south than that. John Turner, that's who it was. Yeah, that's how Canada should have been ran. It's the way it's supposed to be ran. Like the only reason that they allow Honda to operate and sell their merchandise in Canada is because they employ Canadians. Right? They give Canadians jobs. They give them something to do. I should see how my investments in Hitachi are doing now, because Honda and Hitachi amalgamated. I would have thought that Honda was the bigger company than Hitachi, but apparently not. And they amalgamated right before COVID, as if they knew some giant financial shift amongst the elites was going to happen. And they all know these shifts before they're going to happen. Yeah, bottom line is your goals and objectives should still be the same no matter what flag is flying above your head. And if your goal and objective is just to fucking talk constantly and tell other people what needs to be done, that's pointless. You need to be doing. You need to be doing stuff. And actively talking about it with your partner or whoever it is. And I think, honestly, the key to saving the white race is guys starting to find fat chicks attractive. It's just, sorry. We don't have enough time for everybody to get into shape and fall in love. We need arranged marriages and start procreating. That's it. It's the only way. If I become pure, that's what I'm doing. I'm assigning each dude a fat chick. And you don't have a choice. That's something you're gonna have to sacrifice. You get a fat chick and a great fucking man cave and hang out with the boys more often. As for the Indians, they got us fucking. They got us beat, don't they? They get an arranged marriage, and then they just enjoy hanging out with the boys a lot more, right? And that's why making a trip to Vegas fucking once a year is something we never talk about. That's why nothing leaves Vegas. So you can go out and fuck with a couple of fucking 25-year-olds because you've earned it once a year. Then you go back to banging your fat chick thinking about those two. And that's how fucking races survive. I'm sorry. The black guys have this figured out already. Not like useless fat chicks, though. Right? No, they still have to cook. You know, they still have to get out there and do things. Yep. That's how I'd set up society. If you're not married by 25, you get a fat chick. So there's incentive to try and find one before then. If you don't find one by 25, fat chick. You're getting assigned. Or you just get assigned a fucking. It'd be like a sloping scale, right? There'd be like the fat chicks, and then the mentally unstable, and then there'd be different levels of shit. But you're just gonna get assigned. If you're not done by 25, you get fucking assigned. Don't look at me like I'm crazy. I'm coming up with better ideas to save the fucking white race here. That's how Spock would do it. Right? Spock was assigned like fucking 7 wives or something because the Vulcans were their species was starting to run low. And you could say it's like an incentive program, right? If you're married by 20 and let's say you have 2-3 kids by the time you're 25, you still get a fat chick. She comes in to help you with your laundry and whatever else. Or no, not a fat chick. You just get like a kind of like a crazy 20-year-old, that hasn't quite settled down. It's up to you to tame her now. But now you got 2, and it's a breeding farm. Right? So that's it though. You gotta be married and have 3 kids by the time you're 25, then you get another one. Right? And then that's how we fucking expand the race. I think that's doable. I see there's a lot of confliction here. A lot of people not sure how that's going. Sounds Islamic? Would you be opposed to Islam if it was all white people? And you just kind of change the prayers and the shit? I mean, you gotta get like the rules kind of work, right? The rules kind of work. J-Dog, isn't that how France populated Quebec? Yeah, it did help. They called them the King's Whores or the King's Daughters. It depends on who you ask, I guess. But they went through a giant deportation effort, and the population, the numbers were going down, so they started ordering people of the same stock. And yeah, the Acadians multiplied in numbers from that. It's just funny that you can tell that you're not in charge of your own race and destiny when they start mixing you as economic units. Like, it doesn't matter. Just everybody lives side by side, despite the cultural differences. Greatest culture survives. Problem is, the other cultures that have been invited into this country know they're at war with us, and they do have to try and go for as many resources as they can. We're the only ones that are dumb enough to think, yeah, we should share. There's enough for everybody. No, there fucking isn't. You better carve off your own land here at some point or another. This is why I'm pro climate change, to be honest. And we need to open up James Bay to the Northwest Passage, because whoever's living up there in the future, that's going to be some prime location. Right? With all the ships coming through, the icebreakers. Mm-hmm. Yep. That's where I'm going to have my harem. Let's see what else I got here for you guys. Sure, there's the NWO plan as described in the 90s.
New World Order really consists of three aspects. There is a New World political system that everyone today is calling the New World Order. As well as that, there is an economic plan for the New World Order, and that is called the New World Economic Order. In addition to those two items, there's a third plan for religion. You see, the planners of the world know that men need a religion of some kind, even if it's a false one. So they have a plan to give us a new age world global occultic religion. So really there's three aspects to this New World Order. A New World Economic Order, in which a computer chip will be injected into our hands or foreheads as a means to track, control, and identify us, and will also be used to make our purchases and scan, etc.
Well, they've already put the program in Los Angeles. In fact, right. A trilateralist named Mayor Bradley, Uncle Tom Bradley, was responsible for putting this in dogs.
Right.
And your children will be considered like animals. Like animals, and operating through the Council on Foreign Relations, through the Trilateral Commission, through the Club of Rome, through Global 2000, which wants to reduce the population of the planet by, 25%. 25. That's 1,250,000,000 people have to be exterminated by the year 2000.
Well, they can do that.
So essentially, this Illuminati is the group of men who control not only all the money on the planet through all the world banks and the Federal Reserve and so on, but they control essentially all the governments. And so these men are planning to bring about a global form of government that's unique in all history. It's a total enslaving system of world communism and fascism, controlled by a hierarchy in Europe that Anthony calls what? The oligarchy.
Well, no, I call it the evil-archy.
The evil-archy.
The oligarchy of evil.
So these men are satanically inspired, and of course we get that term from the Bible, which means the devil. They're satanically inspired to bring about a global form of government to every nation on earth.
And how, may you ask, are they doing that? Through the UN? Maybe. I think it's different factions that are actually fighting for it. Here's a recent one on illegal settlements in Israel by the International Court. It's being deemed an illegal settlement. But does anybody care if they don't have the guns? Nobody gives a fuck. Nobody can enforce it. So
this is a watershed moment for Palestine, for justice and for international law. Israel's occupation has been declared unlawful by the World Court, which has stipulated that it must be terminated completely and as rapidly as possible. The court also found that illegal Israeli occupation violates the UN Charter, human rights and international humanitarian law. The court further unequivocally declared that all Israeli settlements in the occupied Palestinian territory are illegal and must be dismantled, and that all Israeli settlers must be evacuated. The court declared that Israeli illegal occupation not only violates but eviscerates the Palestinian people's right to self-determination in their own land, including the right to their own state. This ruling couldn't be more timely or sorely needed. The Palestinian people have endured unbearable suffering and injustice for decades. This ruling is a vindication of their steadfastness and perseverance. This right must no longer be denied or deferred. The court made clear that the Palestinian people are the only sovereign in the occupied Palestinian territory, including East Jerusalem, and that the international community is under an obligation not just to reaffirm the Palestinian people's right to self-determination, but to see to it that this right is implemented immediately. All states and the UN are now under obligation not to recognize the legality of Israel's presence in the occupied Palestinian territory.
that's awesome because it doesn't fucking matter. Donald Trump has more cameras, a bigger show, makes more noise, and has more stupid fucking people following him. What you say doesn't matter. He's got more guns and more stupid people pointing them at you. He can get the Rob MAGA, let's go fight for Israel, and they'll go. So international court. Nobody's taking a threat. Donald Trump has bigger cameras, makes more noise, better show, more people follow that. Because whatever it is, right? It's who can get more stupid people to follow them. That's the war right now. You get more stupid people to follow you, you can do whatever you want. That's the problem with right-wing movements, is because they try to appeal to people's intellect. And you can't. You have to appeal to the fucking foot soldier. And the problem is, that's the real right. The real right is people that can't get along and organize because everybody wants to do it and has a better way of doing it. Left is collectivism. Right is anarchism, no government. Big government, zero government. So yeah, when people do say they're Nazis, they are on the left. They do believe in collectivism. And it is a form of communism, fascism. It all depends on how you set it up, but it's collectivism in the end. That's why the so-called right will never collectivize. You need a system that honors your individualism, but sorry, that's the wrong way. It's to honor the collectivist, the collectivism, but take pride in the individualism. Because there's pride in ownership. When you own stuff and you can show your certain accolades and the fruits of your labor, you take pride in that. So if you could show somebody how how they can achieve that through the collectivism of the betterment of everybody to raise all ships in a rising tide is the hardest part, isn't it? And I guess it's incumbent on the certain people that do rise above the rest to take care of their own blood and to take care of their own people and their heritage to a certain extent. The ones that do, the majority of the work, because let's be honest, there's a certain amount of people that do the majority of the work. And they do have to start extending that to other people, but people need to recognize who the ones are that do the majority of the work and get behind them. And that's when a lot more gets done. When you see somebody that's a doer and they're one of the ones that actually get shit done, those are the people you want to get behind because you'll see more results. If you're not seeing results doing what you're doing over and over again, and you see somebody else actually getting it done, why wouldn't you go behind them, help get it done, and learn how to get it done, if anything? Because something in our society today is that everybody's ego, right? Everybody wants to be the one that knows how to do everything. It doesn't matter if you know how to do everything if you don't fucking do it. Yeah, enough rambling. What else we got to look at here? I don't want to look at that. How about people insulting you? Or England? Here's somebody that wants to push a certain narrative because it's to their advantage, right? There's zero advantage to this woman saying that England needs to say white. Why? Because she's not white. So why has she got authority to talk about it?
The fact of the matter is, the UK is never going to be white again. It's just not going to happen. People can wish it, but it's not realistic. Similarly, our parents who have left Pakistan, Afghanistan, Iraq, Somalia, Muslim countries, for them to think that they can re-establish those countries and the lives that they had there over here, it's not going to happen. And I recognize the fact that that's a big loss for both people, for both sides. But the reality is that we have to move forward. The reality is that we're together going to have to find out, what does it mean to be British moving forward? What does it mean to build a society that includes all of us, where it means looking like me and looking like you?
Did you ever watch?
That bitch pisses me off. It's like, yeah, the Pakistanis that can't keep their culture, that's a loss. And the British that can't keep their culture, that's also a loss. But we have to move forward. Why are we moving forward where both people have a loss here? Why don't we move the Pakistanis back with the Pakistanis and the English leave the English alone? Now they're both still happy. We've moved forward in that case, or at least we're not moving forward in a way that's fucking detrimental to both parties. Stupid. I just had a glimpse in my head about when black people take over and Muslims take over England, right? And they don't sing the songs. They don't have the heritage. They don't do the fish and chips. They don't do the London Bridge is falling down. And they know the history and blah, blah, blah. They're going to be looking at it like, how was this bridge here before us? What happened? We don't know who built this and where it came from. It's just an ancient culture that we didn't know about. I don't know. I don't know how it was built. These subdivision houses is just genius. What else we got for you guys? Let's go to a different board. I think I had some Jeet shit for sure. There's always Jeet shit. And like I say, I'm going to try and get away from this. It's probably not the stuff that brings everybody here anyway. Maybe it is. Oh, is it not working? I'll have to give it a jump start. There's something about StreamYard when you're trying to switch video boards. It doesn't do it for you. Unless you try and jump in on another device, then it does. So I'll try and knock it loose. Yep. It's weird how that works. Here's a Jeep caught in a trucking yard. Dude. Like, if you're a shitting culture and you're in a truck, like, they do have porta potties, for people that aren't potty trained, that don't know how to control their bladder. You don't have to shit all over our fucking truck stops that weren't made for you. They weren't made for you. They weren't made by you, for you, or anything. They were made for the people of this nation because they needed a place to rest and stop. And now you're coming here from another country just shitting on it. I know it's just a truck stop, but it's kind of the bigger picture of things. They're shitting on our beaches and everywhere. Just Jeet shit. That's why they're getting hepatitis everywhere. Everywhere they're getting hepatitis, fucking hiring Jeets. Why? Because they don't wash. Oh, Canadians use paper. Oh my God, they use paper. You use your bare hand and water. Not even soap, just your bare hand and water. And then you touch yourself and you get hepatitis and you give it to our people because you're fucking unsanitary. Dirty fucking Jeets. Here's some threatening fucking guys.
63 high, coming in on target. You need to move a little faster than that, son. Seat is light.
I know for a fact that one of those boys on that softball team could probably take out all 5 of those fucking limp-wristed fucks. Have you ever watched a Jeep fight? Like when a fucking parking lot Jeep fight breaks out, they slap. Like that's their defensive skills from India. So let's be honest. Well, name some famous fighters from India. There isn't any. The Great Khali, a guy that's a fucking fictional character in WWE, right? Jeet Kune Do is bullshit. No great Jeet fighters. There's that fucking guy from Street Fighter. What's his name again? Yoga Tire. What is it? Yoga Fire. Yoga Kick. What was that guy's name? Dalsim or something like that. Mr. Bullock, any advice to youngsters watching? Depends on what age group. But I would skip all the bullshit and start learning what we're trying to learn from our mistakes. Really, you have an opportunity to learn from our mistakes and see where you need to invest your time and your resources. Because if I had built this place on somewhere that was paid off a long time ago, I'd be way ahead of the game instead of paying rent for so many years. Thinking about your assets, financial literacy is huge. That's probably your biggest asset, knowing the law of financial literacy. You can't just become a mechanic and that's all you know and all you do and you just watch sports and fucking enjoy WWE wrestling and going to the strip club. You can't just do one thing. You have to be good at a bunch of different stuff. Life doesn't revolve around you just being able to do one thing, and that's your entire contribution to society. You have to be able to do multiple things. My dad was guilty of that and taught me that lesson. He spent so many years, like he used to do gas meters, furnaces, and a whole bunch of other things. But then he just started doing water heaters, and he did water heaters for like 20 years, and the business passed him by, and he was stuck just doing water heaters. He was fine, like he was fine. He still retired doing that, but that was the only thing he could do was water heaters and gas lines and small plumbing jobs, and that's all he wanted to do. But there was a bigger piece of the pie that could have been taken had you expanded into more multiple disciplinaries. So it was kind of a big moment when I got a bigger license than my dad, the one that he stuck with, which is kind of cool. But yeah, be good at multiple things. Be good at things that you'll need to. 3 things you should know no matter what is how to filter water, how to gut an animal, and how to start a fire. 3 things that we fucking take advantage of living in a society that we don't need to know. But if you're out in the cold, those are 3 things you got to know. Build a shelter too. Understand how shelters work, why we build them. You know, learn how to keep the rain off your back. That's a good fucking piece of advice. But yeah, how to stay warm, build a fire, gut an animal, and how to filter water. If you don't know those, then you're always at the mercy of somebody else or becoming a slave. Otherwise, you can just go live in the woods. I don't Propatriate. No, I don't have a propane furnace. I should. I want one as a backup. Just out of convenience, because some days you're just too busy to be dicking around with the fireplace and stuff like that. You got other things to do. It's just easier to flip a switch. I understand the convenience, but right now I'm strictly off a wood stove. I got down to my negative 36 this year with the wood stove. And it worked. So there's not much more they could throw at me than that unless we go into an ice age. But remember, you can always just make up a new god and go live in India.
Thousands of people in India have begun to flock to a temple in Sambal after a local farmer named Prakash found a peculiar-looking potato, brought it to the head priest, and following careful examination, believe it to be a miracle and regarded as an incarnation of a Hindu god bearing the form of 4 Vishnu avatars. They placed it at the feet of a Ram statue, typically reserved for ancient relics or other deities, for people to come and visit and see it in the place of worship. This comes as India celebrates the festival of color called Holi. Join me on Discord to talk about it.
I wish my life was that simple that I could pray to a potato. Oh my god, there's the reincarnation of Vishnu and like 3 other fucking weird poopy gods. Oh, we must pray to the poopy potato god. Dude, I need to come up with a god. Like I'm gonna send a Bush Light fucking can over there. I'm gonna be the fucking god of Bush. How's that? Go to India, become the god of Bush. I'll bet you if you guys fucking Google it, there is a god of Bush over there. There'll be like a god of pubic hair, a guy that just let it run rampant for years. And it's like one of those where they grow their beards or toenails. I'll bet you there already is a god of Bush. What else we got? More Jeet incidents. Here's a local one. Here's an Uber driver. And you know what? I'm going to side with the Uber driver in this case because sometimes when you have two drunk chicks just freaking out, it's fun just to poke the bear a bit. Because I don't think anything was actually going to happen. But there is a ton of instances where something could happen. But I think in this one, this guy was just poking fucking whiny chicks for a bit.
Just pull over and let us out here. That's right there, please. Like, you're scaring me. You're literally driving fast. Like, just pull over.
No.
Why?
I don't want to let you go.
Why? Dude, I'll literally give you a cash tip to let us out. Like, I will pay you for your time.
I don't give a fuck.
Why? Why? Why are you pulling over?
Well, you
Dude,
can't really
pull
get.
over! Let us out!
You're on an on-ramp. You're on an on-ramp.
No! Why the fuck are we gonna marry you? Why do you need to marry one of us? Why?
Look at the road. You can't pull over.
Pull over now! You're gonna get fucking deported faster than if you're fucking here without a fucking green card, bitch, if you don't pull over this motherfucking car, motherfucker!
Shut up, bitch.
You're gonna call me a fucker! Pull over! Whoever did it, cancel the ride and call I'm recording! I'm recording! Keep recording him! You're all fucking recording, motherfucker! We're gonna fucking...
See, I kind of think it's funny. Like, if you look at the road in front of them, you can't pull over there. Like, if you were to pull over and let them out at the side of a highway, that's ridiculous. There's no sidewalk. It's miles to the next exit. So, in a certain sense, you can't really let them out there. It's kind of funny. And like the chicks were really just freaking out. I don't know. There's a bit of both here. It's kind of funny. There's no reason to scream, like, unless he's running off the road. They really escalated that more than what it needed to be. To be honest with you, I don't think it would have been a good idea to pull over at the side of the road where nobody could find you with that man. You're better off to go to where there's, the next stop or the next exit. Like, could be taking them to rape them. Sure, he could be, but he also can't stop there. Like, it's a really odd. It does seem like two drunk chicks taking it out of context. They could say, okay, just drop us off at the next stop there. And if you refuse to do that, then I would understand. But that just got out of control. That was kind of funny. I want you to marry me. If the women were smart, you would at least try and keep your composure until you're in an area where you could freak out and it would make a difference. I don't know. I could be looking into that too hard. Who wants to watch a homemade commercial? This is breaking down fucking racial borders.
I'm Richard, a.k.a. Big Head. I work at the Red House and I'm black.
At the Red
I like pumping iron and pumping furniture into people's homes.
I'm Johnny, a.k.a. 10 Gauge. I work at the Red House and I'm white. I like deer hunting, bass fishing, and extending credit to all people.
At the Red House.
I'm black and I love the Red House. I'm white and I love the Red House.
I'm a black woman and I love the Red House.
I am white and the Red House is for me.
At the Red House.
Look at the sofa. It's perfect for a black person or a white person.
This mattress is perfect for a white person or a black person.
At the Red House, where black people and white people buy furniture.
And Hispanic people too.
And all people.
That was awkward for everybody, wasn't it? That was awesome. At the Red House, We even try to give credit to Ozzy. Ozzy. We try to give credit to you. Yeah, I know. That's funny, but a lot of these places like the Brick and Bad Boy and all those places were predatory, you know? They would try and get people, they would have 2 lines of credit that you could try and apply for, and then like a third one that would be called Camcell, that would be like an international investor that would get you the furniture with no down payment for 2 years, but it was like 30% interest. But yeah, don't worry, we'll get you furniture at your place. Do you know how many families went into debt because of that shit? You move out and get yourself a house. You'd be like, oh, we need to put furniture in a house. We just can't be fucking, ugly white people with no furniture. So we're going to go down to the Brick, take 30% interest. We're going to get a TV and a couch and an ottoman that your kids are going to puke on anyway. So you might as well just be going to a garage sale down the street and getting a used couch. At the Red House. But I like the catchy phrases that we used to have in Canada because everybody remembers them. Everybody remembers these slogans because they work. Like Bad Boy Furniture. Nobody. They'd wear those fucking white and black prison suits. Nobody. Right, Ozzy? Nobody. And then there was the Cash Man. Right? You remember the Cash Man, Oz? Fucking Cash Man. I'm the Cash Man. Oh, yeah. Russell Oliver. These guys knew how to fucking market themselves. It's like they all went to the same school of marketing. What are you thinking, Oz? Yeah, you're stuck with me, bud. At the Red House. So we got more? I think we do. We got a couple of more, but they're probably not fucking fun to watch, are they, Ozzy? Do you want to see it? You probably want to get down, right? You see yourself? Who is that? At the Red House. Yeah, do you miss him, Trad? You miss Ozzy? I did on tour, that was for sure. I'm used to sleeping, like, always having a dog on my leg or fucking putting his head on me somewhere. Gotta have it. What else we got for you guys? Here's another Jeep crash to get your blood boiling.
All right, can you crawl out?
The guy's there.
It's going to be median side out of traffic. We got one driver trapped right now.
I tried to pull the window, but he told me not. So he's walking.
Are you okay? All right.
As the deputy peeled back the windshield, he detected an odor of intoxicants humming from inside.
All right, can you crawl out? Crawl out, buddy. I'm holding this up. Crawl out.
Don't worry about your ID. You
Come on.
Get your body out. Let's go.
Crawl out. Watch your head. Watch your head.
Duck down.
Go as low as you can go. Oh.
Anybody else in there?
Is there anybody else in there with you?
No.
Are you injured? You're injured?
I'm okay.
You're okay? You don't have any pain?
No.
No? What happened? Nothing? Did you witness it? All right. The driver is okay. Are you fully loaded? What do you have in your trailer?
It's loaded.
It's loaded with what? What's it loaded with? How heavy are you? I'm asking.
Loaded.
What is in your trailer?
It's loaded.
Yeah, I understand that, but what's it loaded with? What do you have in there? You don't have anything in there? So you're empty?
Yep.
Although the driver claimed his trailer was empty, it was later found to be filled with canned food.
Okay, so how much have you had to drink today?
A lot.
A lot? Yeah? Like what's a lot?
I could tell you.
You could tell me?
I could tell you.
Yeah, I'm asking you how much?
A lot.
Like, were you drinking beer, wine, whiskey, vodka? You were drinking whiskey? Where were you drinking?
Dude, that's fucking wild that we just let these people on the roads with us. You can't even speak English. And this is where Arkansas has got the right state of mind by asking people if they can read and write English. You know, why? Because their DMVs have been infiltrated. And foreigners are just giving away their licenses like candy. So people don't have to read and write English to be able to fucking drive a truck. So I agree with Arkansas's law. Okay, I got to let Ozzy out for a second. So we're going to play another video. What do we got? You got the homemade commercial. Oh, should make you happy. McDonald's.
Look, 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 look. Look, 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 look at this. Somebody come look at this. Look at this. Somebody come and look at this. Look at this.
Don't eat the goy slop. You guys wonder how COVID or fucking different things get around? Don't eat that shit. It's that bad. Anytime you go to a fucking Harvey's or a McDonald's or an A&W and you see a Jeep behind the counter, just know that the cleanup that they're supposed to do at the end of the day does not fucking happen. They don't eat that food. They don't. They don't care. They don't notice if there's mold on the buns or on the fries or if the fries should have been changed out. Hell, even as a teenager when I worked at Wendy's, okay, we never changed the chili. We just kept adding to it and serving it, adding to it and serving it. As long as I worked at Wendy's, it was never changed. Like, we didn't start with a fresh batch chili. We just fucking kept adding to it, stirring it, adding to it. Like, yeah, that's the truth. I think I worked there for like 6 months. Nobody ever changed that chili. Whatever burger meat would get fucking kind of dry on the line, you'd cut it up, throw it in the chili. Throw a bunch of other shit in there. Sometimes some of the food you can get from there is not entirely unhealthy. It's just how it's handled and everything it's handled around and the people that handle it. Ugh. Ugh. Don't eat that stuff. You need to be into communities where you know where your beef is raised. Like, I have a cow farmer just down the street from me and a pig farmer. I'm a chicken farmer. My neighbor's a goat farmer. That's how you split up community responsibilities. One person's responsible for the milk, the other's responsible for the beef, the other's responsible for the pork, the other's responsible for the poultry, others responsible for, I guess eggs is still, I don't know, is eggs considered poultry, even though poultry is like chicken? I never understood that. You'd think I would. Is poultry eggs and chicken or just eggs? Or sorry, just chicken? Somebody's got to know that one. Somebody's a know-it-all. What else we got for you guys? The Red House. Well, I think that's it for this one. Gotta go into Is It Racist? And we have to do this again. Sign in with the phone because it gets jammed up for whatever reason. I really should cancel this service and try start using the Rumble service, but we'll see. That didn't work. Switch over. Why don't you switch over? You'd think it would. Wonder where that is. And Ozzy came back in too. I have to shut that door because it's just cold air streaming. So here's an oldie buddy goodie. Jeet Hammer time.
Pick up the hammer. Pick up the hammer.
That's one of my favorite fucking Jeet Kune Do. I don't know how to get this other board up though. That should work. Nope, not working. I don't know how to get it to do it though. So I'll just throw it to the chat then until that switches over to the next video board. McDonald's has plants so big it makes fake meat people. Yeah, I know. I've heard that before. That's the true Soylent Green. The only reason that they can put 100% pure beef on their wrappers is because the company name is 100% pure beef or some slick fucking marketing like that. I believe it. We're probably eating people. I think there's subliminal messages behind the McDonald's slogans. Like, do you remember that slogan? There's a little McDonald's in everyone. Because everybody's had McDonald's at least once, and I think it stays with you. That they're telling you that that little bit of McDonald's that you had at that point in time is stuck in your arteries forever. So there really is a little McDonald's in everyone. And the powdered eggs. You guys ever see those things for like a coffee truck or like a slop house where they get those fucking egg by the bucket, scrambled egg by a bucket? Just a big old fucking tub egg. Tub egg. Yeah. Well, I've been gabbing to myself for 2 and a few hours, it seems like. Probably got anything out that I wanted to say out already. I hope it wasn't boring anybody. Just kind of rambling. I really didn't. I don't want to be on the internet all the time. It's new people talking about the same shit. It's not same people, same shit. There's new people, but they talk about the same shit too. And I'm tired of doing that and watching people saying what we need to do without ever trying to apply anything themselves. I'm not paying any more attention to them or giving them any air to breathe. It's not worth it. I enjoy talking to certain people in certain spaces and stuff like that, but I need to be around more doers. And if you're not a doer yourself, attach yourself to a doer and help them do what they're doing. Because those are the more important people than the fucking thinkers or the ideas or the talkers, is the doers. And quite honestly, most of the time, the doers are not the talkers. You don't find them here because they're too busy doing shit. I want this fucking video board to switch over to the one I want. Why won't it? All I have on this video board is like an old video of me shooting Faith Goldie in the face on her lawn sign. That's been on there for a long ass time. And I can't switch over. I had a couple others that were lined up. See if I can one more time. Other than that, I'm going to let you guys go. We'll try it one more. I really should cancel this service. It's not worth the money I pay. There we go. I got it to work. Shouldn't have to do that. These you got to ask yourself, is it racist? I hope they are, because they're funny.
Okay, December 31st, New Year's Eve. Yeah, New Year's. Okay,
Right.
yeah, New Year's. All right, New Year's.
New Year's?
Very good. New Year's
This is not-
resolution.
don't let anybody be offended.
New Year's
All right, okay.
resolution.
All right. Chinese New Year.
That's it. Hey, you got one. You got one, big guy. Okay, let's go. We'll be back in a minute.
That's fucking funny. That's how you know a Chinaman, right? Slanty eyes. Why do they have slanty eyes? I don't know. There has to be some sort of cultural significance between that, right? Like the sun was always out and it just fucking closed them down. Seems viable. That's the theory. I'm sticking with it. All right, try this one. See if this is racist.
What the heck, bro?
Your brother asked for this.
What do you ask for?
Asked for this.
Gotcha.
Argo.
You do it there, come on? Check it out.
Argo. Oh, shit looks fresh. Thank you.
Gotcha, my boy.
All right, we'll go with some white humor instead.
This is a Uyghur neighborhood, and most of the Uyghurs here have come from the southern province.
Uyghurs speak a language that's similar to Turkish.
Some of my accent come out stronger, or when I talk faster, but like, did you mean like?
Much of the region looks and feels like another country. And some Uyghurs to
That's fucking funny, isn't it? Uyghurs, the Uyghurs, Uyghur Nation. I think that's funny. All right, next one up.
Samping Wong? Yeah, he's dead.
Samping Wong. Do you guys remember that plane crash? Chinese Airlines, and somebody wrote the names down. The names of the pilots, they were saying it was holy fuck, something Wong, Ao Ping Smash, or something like that. Oh fuck, it was funny, and they actually read it on the news. That's good humor. I don't care what anybody says. That's fucking good humor.
Alright, day in the life of a white neo-colonialist committing gentrification in Latin America. We start the day with a high-protein breakfast because this has been shown to be linked to white supremacy. And I get started my day by listening to one of my favorite inspirational speakers. Then I walk around asking people if they speak English.
Do you speak English? Speak English. Do you speak English?
I just do this to remind them that, you know, they should learn English.
I get a flat white. Flat white.
And I go to an overpriced cafe / co-working space and do some remote work, which allows me to commit economic arbitrage on the local economy. And then I will talk to some of the local indigenous women, and my pickup line is essentially just offering them green cards in exchange for companionship. They never actually end up getting the green cards though. And then lastly, I will hit the gym, and today is shoulders, so I will do front raises and I will do 14 pounds for 88 reps, and that's my day.
I just had a thought while I was watching that video, which is funny as hell. But can you guys, and I want to see how many of you actually do this. Next time you go to a normally Canadian place, like a franchise place, like fucking Big Boy Burrito, or even a Tim Hortons or Subway or something like that, and walk right up to the register person, and you got to get it on film, put it in your front pocket. Walk up to them and say, "Do you speak English?" And then proceed to order like nothing's wrong. And just for the fun of it, just want to see the reaction and see what happens. Walk up to them. Go to Walmart and you go to a brown lady. You see her at the cashier. Just say, "Hi, do you speak English?" And they say yes. And then you go ahead and use the register. That's funny. I think people need to do that. Yeah, I may do that. I may start my own video trend, just going up to different Jeet-owned businesses, gas stations, everything. "Hi, do you speak English?" Yes, sir. Okay, good. See how many say no. And if they say no, there's a whole plethora of things that you could do afterwards. Yeah, if you guys send me your videos of asking minorities if they can speak English, we might be able to make something out of that. No matter what happens. Go to your local MP's office, and if he's a different color, ask him if he speaks English. Hell, don't limit it to different colored people. Just ask some white people too, just for the hell of it, because that's kind of funny. And if you speak French, do that. Do that instead. "Hi, parlez-vous français?" "Oui." And then just speak in English. Go around and people in Ontario and get video of asking them if they speak French. And then make it really awkward for them. Even if you don't know how to speak French, I guarantee you they don't know how. If they're wearing a turban in Ontario, they don't know how to speak French. And I'm totally playing the odds here. I'm just, the odds. And go in there and start a fucking argument with them, having no idea what you're talking about. "Hello, bonjour, parlez-vous français?" They're going to shake their head. "Ah, tabarnak, c'est un pupitre," and act like you're really mad. And you just say, "This is a desk." Just fucking, just act really mad. They'll have no idea. Just go off with different fucking French words that you know. Just, I don't know. I think that's funny. Send me your videos. At least it'll keep me entertained. I don't know if we have any more videos. I don't think so. I think that's it. Well, these are funny, so. The Irish police. When I think of like police in England and fucking Ireland and stuff like that, the guys, the bobbies that don't even carry guns, they're, you kind of make fun of them. They're fucking, you're not really doing anything wrong. And they don't really want to arrest you either because they're guys from your town, right? You all get together. It's funny on a good night. Guys got a bit wild. All right, settle down. We know you're not trying to hurt anybody. No need to go to court over it because it's boys from the town. Now, when you get different people that have no cultural fucking significance or allegiance to what you and your blood and your heritage are, they're going to go strictly by the rules. And when you go strictly by the rules, that means they have to enforce the rules with violence. Why? Because they're not more worried about what the community thinks about them. They're more worried about where their paycheck comes from. Here's the Irish police.
Myself, as someone who came in Ireland 3 years ago as an asylum seeker, I'm currently enjoying stage 1 of the training, but I find it challenging because there's too much of academics. Because unfortunately, Irish is required.
What? Too much academics, and unfortunately, Irish is required in Ireland. What? Too much academics.
I know blacks are just not Irish. Irish are not the ones that you can say are fucking. They haven't oppressed anybody. Why are you doing this to the Irish? Like, you can't blame colonialism. You can't blame slavery. They were slaves. Like, the Irish are a perfect example of what's going wrong. And kudos to Conor McGregor, although he will be susceptible to blackmail, and that's for sure. I want to see him run. I would love to see him run. It would be a fucking Disney fairy tale story if he won and blah, blah, blah. Become the king of Ireland. You know, I could see that. He's arrogant enough that he could try and pull something like that off. Go for a monarchy. And a monarchy works if you can stir up enough stupid people to say, hey, I know what's right or wrong, but all this legal mumbo jumbo and shit in between, I don't want to fucking get involved with that. But I trust this guy to know what's right or wrong, so I'll go with the king. That's what you need. A bunch of stupid people that believe in a king. Flat out. That's why Trump's doing so good. But I think that's what you need. Otherwise, you get the smart people, it gets too fucking... Everything's a gray area and nothing gets done and everything can be talked around and the smoother talker can be the bigger criminal. So you need a king. King Conor McGregor. Fuck it. Why not? How many people does Ireland have? How many people are there? Yeah, he'll be high as fuck king, but come on, no, there's more fucking people in Ireland than 4 million. Don't tell me that. I have to look that up. I don't believe you. 4 million. There has to be more. 6? I think 6 is right. Yeah. Isn't it? Anybody else? 6 going once? I could just look this up. All right, I'll look it up. See 2 6s, 4 to 5. $5,293,000 from what I'm seeing. That's a small population, but homogenous. Now, what does probably not as easy to find, but what's the population increase in the past year? Because that's fucked when you look at the size of their country and there's only 6 million people living there. And you look at Canada, like you could just fit, like we could take all of Ireland, plop it in the middle of Manitoba, and for the most part, most of the country wouldn't even notice. There'd be a couple of Irish people that floated off into different provinces that you get to talk to once in a while, whatever, but nobody would even notice. Nobody. And that's happening with Chinese and fucking Muslims and all kinds of different ethnic groups across Canada, and people have no idea. It's so fucked. There's so many different small communities that were just wonderful communities that people were building their own ice rinks out of the community's time and shit like that. Like the old way that they used to settle these communities. You know what I mean? You need to almost resettle them. Resettle them and negotiate with the old money that's there, hoping that they're not going to try and sell out under the idea that this inflated wealth from the real estate boom is somehow going to give their family generational wealth. Yeah, I don't think I have too much more to show you guys tonight. I think that's it. Well, we got one more. One more.
Have you ever wondered what would happen if all the white people just left? Well, look at South Africa and now you can know. For a very long time, anti-colonialists have been telling all of the white people in Africa, hey, your population isn't from Africa naturally. You gotta go. So a group of white settlers in Africa decided to do just that. They packed up, moved out into the middle of underdeveloped and completely barren land, and established their own colony, Orania. So despite doing everything that liberals would want, going off and not bothering anybody, not taking away any resources, leaving Africans to have their own country and going off to make their own where nobody was living, Now they're being called racist because it's a nicer place to live than the rest of South Africa, and they don't want to let anybody in. So, that's what would happen.
Yeah, that's the truth. I'm going to take off, but I guess in some closing thoughts, it's to win this war, you're not doing it by winning over the entire country in a snap, in an election, or some magical way of power. It has to start on grassroots, and people throw that term around way too easily. Grassroots is what I'm doing out here in a new area that's still available to start something from the ground up. And like I say, build it and they will come, but you need to balkanize in an area. You need to claim a territory for your own. And when you have enough people in that area that all agree on a certain set of values and they will adhere to a single voice, not everybody making decisions for themselves. It has to be one single voice, period. Fascism. Sorry. Because what's happening right now is everybody's running around trying to make their own decisions, make a name for themselves, and trying to get everybody to follow them, even though they don't have a plan. No. You need somebody that sets out their plan and fucking sticks to it. But people need to submit to that greater purpose and trust that the person that they've all decided to lead them towards that greater purpose, you just have to trust that what you're sacrificing, now it sounds like a cult, but you have to trust what you're sacrificing is going to pay off for the betterment if everybody pushes towards and pools all their resources. No, thank you for suggesting King of the North and build his kingdom, but no, I'm not a leader and I don't want to be. I don't. Not unless I could be the Fuhrer and be a fascist and just tell people what to do with no argument. Otherwise, I don't want it. But yeah, thanks everybody for coming by. I really wasn't even going to stream tonight. People were extremely generous tonight. I appreciate that. And don't be surprised if you don't see me online through the week. It's tough not signing into certain things because you're stuck when you have an online business and most of your communication is online and stuff like that. But yeah, I can't be bothered with the back and forth and people telling me their ideas and how their ideas are better, even though I've heard these ideas 1,000 times. Everybody's heard all the ideas. All the ideas are out on the table. There's no new idea that suddenly is going to fucking take off. The ideas are laid out in front of you. You just have to follow them and make them fucking happen. So now it's not about the ideas, guys. You need the doers, the doings. And maybe that's short-sighted. It's just the doers, because you need the maintainers as well. It's not just people that do say, oh, done, did it, what's next? No, you need the people that can maintain as well. That's also important. Anyways, thanks everybody. Thank you all for listening to me rant. I don't normally do the ranting and the raving for this long by myself, but I felt like it tonight. I actually didn't look at too many of my messages. I probably should, because I know people fucking, that's the time to message me. That's when I decided to do it. You know, people forget I'm streaming when I stream until I'm streaming. Anyways, have a good night, everybody. Listen to Pleb fawning over his false idol.
The Pleb! Oh!
I'll get tired of that. Good night, everybody. Peace out.
Today, we are closing the market for military-grade assault weapons in Canada. We are banning 1,500 models and variants of these firearms by way of regulations.
Welcome to the rice fields, mother.
Drop it.